Okay, well, everybody, we'll get started. Thank you very much all for coming in and coming to listen to me. Thank you very much to the Brewer World guys for not only inviting me here today to speak about strong communities and business communities, but also last month I came up and enjoyed the Beer of India Awards. I came up and judged the Beer of India Awards, which was fantastic. I think it's a fantastic initiative, and tried all beers from all over India, which was a wonderful experience. My first experience in India. So we'll fire through because I know that the program's a bit scrambled. In the beginning, this is where it all started. So that's me up in Hong Kong in the 1990s. I first got to Hong Kong. You might not be able to see me, but that's me down there with Chinese. That was a handover, the Hong Kong handover, and a member of our local secret society had gone into China, smuggled back some Chinese security uniforms, and we all wore them during the handover in Hong Kong, which caused a few turned heads in the community, I can tell you. And then over on the right-hand side, I moved into Singapore, and this is a golf group that I set up in my bar. So I used to run F&B outlets in Singapore. And then I moved into festivals, small festivals, and running small festivals. And at the time I thought, well, this is great fun. I'm enjoying it. I'm working. I've been paid to drink. What better? Having a great time. What I didn't realize all the time, that I was building communities. I was starting to build communities. So this is small scale, we're in bars. So if you've got tap rooms, you're going to have a community within your tap room. You're already building a community. When I moved to Singapore, I started upscaling a bit, started building larger communities. So even though I didn't realize it at the time, I was building communities. Then in 2015, we decided to set up CBrew, so the Southeast Asia Brewers Conference. And you can see down here, it wasn't very big when we started. We had the idea to bring brewers together in Singapore, just local, really. And I think that was the only piece of printing we actually did for our first conference. So I got the presenters to hold it up. Then in 2022, up in Bangkok, our latest exhibition and conference, you can see there's a few more people. So that was all because we built the community. We worked with the brewers throughout the region, and we built the community. But let's roll back slightly. What is a business community? What are you trying to build? What are you trying to do? And there's a lot of, I guess you'd say, there's a lot of descriptions of what a community might be. So the people involved in the upper levels of business. That's a fairly business-focused community. The body of individuals who manage businesses. Fairly nondescript, really. The free dictionary, I guess, if you're not paying for it, you're not going to get a very good description, are you? Companies, financial businesses, banks, etc., considered as a group. So Cambridge, big learning institute, you're going to get a business description, very much corporate. What I'm concerned about and what you guys are concerned about is what is a business community? So let's take it to the very basic level. Your brew house, your cleaner, your brewery assistant, your head brewer, they're a business community. They work together. Your marketing department, they're a community because they work together. But your brewery team and your marketing department, together, they're a community. Your sales team, they have a community. So your sales team, your marketing team, your brewing team, they're all a community. outlets. You run outlets, a lot of you here. Your customers, well, take it back, your staff in your outlet, they're a community. But they're all part of your staff community, your marketing, your sales, your brewery community. Now, I think you can see where I'm going here. They're all part of a larger community. So within your large community, you have different elements within that community. Your customers, they're a very important part of your community, because if you don't appeal to your customers, if you don't build a customer community, you don't have any business. So, as you can see, communities are found right across the business value chain. So, for the purpose of this, I've split them into internal and external communities. So, your internal communities, like we said, is your company, your brewery, your sales team, your staff at your outlets. So, they're all subdivisions, departments of your organization. Then you have your external community. These are people outside of your organization. So these would be your customers. These would be other breweries. How do you work with other breweries? How do you interact with other breweries? That's all part of your extended business community. So what we can say is a community is an environment where like-minded people come together and they have a shared vision. And building a community isn't easy. It's not always easy. Not everybody can do it. So some people are focused on their jobs. They're not interested in building the community. So how do you go about this? You know, why should we build business community? Because it's good business. It just makes sense. Internally, if you're talking about your own company, increase employee engagement. So if your employees don't enjoy what they're doing, they don't enjoy the company of their fellow workers, they're going to leave. You spend all your time training up somebody, showing them how to work your business, how to run your brewery, how you want your product to be marketed. But if they don't like the other people in the team, they're going to leave. So you want to nurture a good, strong community. So this is going to improve your retention rate. It's going to improve your collaboration and your teamwork within your business. And all this leads to increased innovation. They're going to talk with each other. They're going to work together. So they are going to build your business for you. So with a good, strong internal community, that will help build your business. You can't build it on your own. And humans are instinctively social creatures. So they want to work together. So you're going to have to learn how to build that community to get everybody working together. And then we look at external communities. Okay? With your customers. If your customers feel they're part of your community, they are going to be more loyal. They're going to support you. They're going to tell their friends about you. So that's going to help grow your marketplace. Because you can't go out and talk to everybody. You need ambassadors. And your best ambassadors are your customers. And whether we have some suppliers here, their best ambassadors are people who've bought their product. Because they will go to another brewery and say, I had this fantastic product from ABC, keg company. You should use those kegs. The keg supplier might not even be aware of your existence or this other company's existence. So it'll help build those bridges. It'll help build the community. If you are a brewery, you want people to come to your outlet. You want people to try your product. Oh, it's nicer. You have a nice big advert. You pay thousands and thousands of say, dollars to put up your advert. But with the additional endorsement of members of your community, you're going to sell more beer than that advert alone is able to sell. So you want to engage in a larger community. So you also have access to resources. So if you've come together as a brewing community, a bunch of breweries working together, you might run out of malt. What are you going to do? Your malt supplier can't get you malt for 3 days. Your next door neighbor. Well, if you have a good community, your next door neighbor will go, oh, okay, borrow a few bags of malt, you can do your brew. If you don't have a good community, you're stuck. You can't produce. So that gives you access to resources. Also gives you access to market information. So if you are working as a community, you're sharing something. You need to share something together. So you can share information. And you might be thinking, you're doing well. My brewery is doing great. I saw 10% growth last year. I'm very happy with my 10% growth. Then you find out the market is growing by 30%. Well, suddenly you're not looking so good. You need to up your game. You need to work harder. But you won't know that unless you're part of the community and you're sharing information. And this is something that I've noticed throughout the region when I travel around, is the lack of information sharing between businesses. And as an industry, we need to learn to do this more. We need to learn to share more information. It might not be financial information. You might not be sharing how much money you make, sharing what your profits are. But there's information that you can share about the market which will help your other partners or your other members of the community. And the information they share will help you. And that will help you build and grow your community, and your community will become stronger. So that'll help your industry development. So I'm not sure if you've heard of a few of these. Oh, sorry, wrong screen. By increasing retention by as little as 5%, profits can be boosted by as much as 95%. That's the price of a good community. That's what you can make. Retaining customers, building customer loyalty, will help you grow your business without even knowing it. Okay? So you're increasing your customer loyalty. Your customers will come back. They'll spend more money. You save on marketing costs, so you save money by building community. And again, your customers may give you feedback. They may help you to improve your products. So recently I was talking with a tech company who's just released a new product onto the market. They're just releasing at the moment, called Deep Liquid. And it is real-time feedback for customers to give feedback to breweries. So you can release your beer on the market. A customer can try your beer, take a click on their iPhone, and then give you feedback on your beer. They say, oh, maybe that one's a little bit too hoppy, or I'd like to have more citrus in it. And the AI working behind the app, the technology, will feed that back to the brewer. And the brewer can then, if they want to, they can then tailor their brews to the market. Now, if you don't have an engaged community, they won't bother doing that. They're not interested in helping you with your product. They're not interested in giving you the feedback. So by having that engaged community, it helps you to grow your business. It builds value into your business that doesn't cost you a lot of money. And also, you may even get new revenue streams. So if you try new products, you can launch them onto the market. Your customers will automatically go and look at your new products. Oh, you've got something new. If you are, let's say, you launch Imperial Stout, a special edition Imperial Stout. You reach out to your community and your customers and you say, I've launched a new beer. They go, great, let's go and try it. If you don't have that community, you can't go out. Who do you reach out to? It's going to cost you money to advertise. Right? How much does a post on Facebook cost you, or an Instagram post? Cost nothing. And straight away you're selling an extra product to somebody. So you're upselling your current customer base and you're introducing new products. So these are some companies that you might recognize that have built strong business communities. Apple, There's a lot of people out there. I know I've just had to buy a new iPhone for my son, partly to bribe him to go to a different school, but that's a totally different story. He was wanting his the latest Apple iPhone. So people are wanting, he's part of that community, he wants that new product. Apple have done very well of building a community around trendy tech products. Nike, everybody wants a pair of Nike shoes. You want to be inclusive. You want to show off that you've got Nike. Salesforce, their community, people feed back into their community. Same as Airbnb. It's an online community. People feed back about business development. Airbnb, if you are a good host, your guests will say, he's a great host, or she's a great host. We love the flat. And you're going to get more people coming to stay with you in your flat. And people are engaged because they like being part of that community. They wouldn't feed back if they didn't like Airbnb. They wouldn't bother going on Airbnb. But Airbnbs create a huge community all over the world. Patagonia clothing. If you like going outside, if you like trekking, you want to have a Patagonia top because that says you're part of the Patagonia community. You want to be out there showing off. Then these three down the bottom. I'm sure some of you have heard of Brewdog. They've built their community. They've built a massive community. Some would say controversially, but they've done it. And they have a huge community of equity for punks, of people who've invested in Brewdog because they believe in the corporate identity of Brewdog. They believe in what it is to be a Brewdog drinker, to have the Brewdog t-shirt. It's a lifestyle. It says you have a lifestyle choice. So Brewdog has worked very well at this. Now the bottom two is more on the association side of things. What has happened when breweries have come together? So the Brewers Association in America, they were in the same situation in the 70s, late 60s, early 70s. They had exactly the same issues as you guys have got here now. Brewing was illegal. Home brewing was illegal. They weren't allowed to homebrew. I was talking with Charlie Papazian, who's the founder of the association. And he was saying that they were brewing up in the hills, up in Colorado. And this was all illegal, and they had little gatherings together, and they were sharing recipes. So they started building their community. Okay? Then the Brewers Association's turnover last year was $17 million US. And they've done that while helping to grow and develop the community. There's 9,000 breweries in the US. So they've grown that community, they've developed that community. And then in Australia, you have the Independent Brewers Association. They come together, they organize events like this. They have organized awards events as well. They collect data from the community, which is something that the Brewers Association also does. And the community freely gives them data because they know it helps. It helps to know what everybody's doing. And we're going to look at this a little bit later. It helps to know that your industry is moving forwards. So if you are all on your own, running your own businesses, you don't know what anybody else is doing. Is the industry moving forward? I guess it is. I guess it's moving. Is it moving fast? Can it move faster? Who knows? Because nobody is sharing any information. So you share information. Say things like Brewer World. You never know. They might say, okay, let's do a survey of the industry, and we'll do it every year, and we'll see how the industry is growing. I don't know if you do one at the moment, but that then becomes the go-to. It becomes, people start looking at it, and the industry looks at it and goes, okay, we are growing. Can we grow faster? What can we do? Where are we growing? Where are we not growing? You can find market opportunities. We did a survey for Southeast Asia a few years ago, and we realized there's a huge market opportunity in canning. So we went to the canning companies and said, look, you've got to come to the show because people are starting to can. if you look, there was, I think, maybe 3% of breweries in Southeast Asia, or 3% of production was being canned. So that was a huge opportunity for the canning companies to come in. And what the guys are doing here at the Conclave, what we're doing with Brew Asia as well, is bringing these people in. Bringing these people in so you guys can then talk to them. Yeah, we're trying to bring them into the community to tell them something's happening. So, how do we do this? How do we make business community click? What we want to look at now is the 6 pillars of a strong community. And if you get these pillars right, you will build your community. Okay, so first up, we have a common vision. Everybody needs to have a common vision. You're all going in the same direction. You all want to produce fantastic beer. Your vision is to grow the beer market. You're all doing the same thing. You're all working in the same industry. So why not get together and do something together? Shared responsibility. You are all responsible for building the market. You know, if you are a community coming together, you're all responsible. And it's very important that everybody in the community feels responsible for something. If you don't feel responsible, don't bother joining the community. There's no point being part of it. Everybody should be responsible. And it's a positive responsibility. It's not, oh, if something goes wrong, it's his fault or it's her fault. It's, we're going to try this together and we're going to move forward together. So it's a positive, it has to be positive. Infrastructure. You can't have a community without infrastructure. So if we go back to your brewery, in your brewery you have your SOPs, you have, I guess you'd have how your marketing interacts with your brewery team, with your sales team. There's infrastructure in there. You need to put that infrastructure in place into your community so everybody knows where they stand and everybody knows what they need to do to move this community forward. Same with an association. If you want to put an association together, you need that infrastructure. Who's going to lead the association? Who's going to do what? How can everybody get involved? Next up, we have progression. We were saying just now, you've got to move forward. As a community, it doesn't matter what it is. If you are if you're in a brewery team, you've got to develop new products. If you are talking about customers, you need to grow your customer base, your consumer base. If you're an association, you want to grow the market. But there needs to be that progression, and you need to be able to measure that progression. And this is where sharing comes in. Share information, whether it's within the brewery, whether it's within the greater ecosystem of the industry. You need to share that information. Rewards. Everybody should be rewarded. Why would you do it if you're not getting rewarded? Okay? And it doesn't have to be a financial reward. It can be an intrinsic reward. You could see, if you're part of the industry, you see your business growing. That's a reward. It's a reward in itself. Maybe we have somebody who's going to lead an association. Eventually, that association, we go back to the Brewers Association, they have full-time staff running that association. So their reward would be payments, bonuses. Okay, that's financial. But not everybody needs the immediate financial reward. Finally, learning. How are you going to move your industry forward, your community forward, if you're not learning? People need to learn. You need to bring education. We as an industry as a whole need to bring education into the industry. And I see it everywhere. I see it across Southeast Asia is where I usually am, where I mostly base myself. Throughout Southeast Asia. It's very difficult to get people to realize the value of education. Let's say you have to do, you want to sign up for a $2,500 course. Oh, it's a lot of money. Not going to do it. Okay, so in the next year, you have to dump a batch of beer. You have product that goes off. you don't schedule your brews properly. $2,500 is nothing compared to knowing what to do. Your beers would improve. Education, it's there to help you brew better beer, to use your products better, to save on product loss, for example. That might be one reason. How much do you save by spending a little bit of money? And it's a problem throughout the industry that we need to better educate the brewers in the industry. And that is part of our community. It is part of our community responsibility to develop the community. Okay, so where do we start? And this is where I like to bring in a little thing called the theory of diffusion of innovations. So those of you who are marketers would know this, but it was developed in the early 1920s. There were surveys done of American farmers, their adoption of new technologies. And the industry wanted to find out how quickly farmers were adopting technologies and what they were adopting. And it was made popular, this theory was made popular in the 1960s by Everett Rogers in a book called Diffusion of Innovations. What it says is, this is our market, this is our full market, and different people buy your product or take on your new theory at different stages. Over here, we have the innovators, 2.5%. You guys, being in this room, are all innovators. That's where you are. You're right at the beginning of the market. You're doing it for love. Yep, you love what you're doing. Reason one you're here is you want to brew beer. Reason two, okay, how do we make a business out of it? But we want to brew beer. We love beer. You are an enthusiast. You're not a visionary. You're an enthusiast, and you just do it because you love doing it. Next up, we have the early adopters. They're 13.5%. Now, they're visionaries. You guys are really the visionaries. The enthusiasts are the visionaries. The early adopters are the people who want to teach the market. They want to become the influencers in the market. They see new technology coming in. They see new ideas coming in. They want to build those ideas, and they want to be seen in the market as the leaders, the market leaders. So you have your innovators and you have your early adopters. Then what you have is your pragmatists. They're the early majority in the market. They want to see something work, and then they'll take it up and they'll adopt it. Okay, so you have those early majority. Late majority, okay, yeah, it's new technology, we'll take it on, you know. But those late majority, they're going to be late to the party. You know, they'll be on their iPhone 6 when there's already an iPhone 14 out. Okay, they'll be still sitting in their, I don't want to upset any Germans, but they'll be still sitting on their Hefeweizens and their Pilsners when the world is moving on to hazy IPAs, to fruited sours, to all these new products that are coming onto the market, new kind of beers. And then you've got your skeptics. Right at the end, your laggards. Usually old, not very well connected. They're just going to sit in a coffee shop, drink their lager. Okay? And what we have here in the middle is what's called the chasm. And when you are starting to build your community, or even to launch new products, this can be applied to product launches, to business launches, to community building. You've got this chasm here. And these guys aren't going to join your community until you've got your visionaries on board. And your visionaries are going to then persuade these guys to come and join your community. Yep. So when we talk about setting up a Brewers Association, for example, what happens, I've seen it happen in Singapore, the brewers go, we can't get enough people together. We can't get enough breweries together. There's only 50 breweries in Singapore. Okay? So let's say we want these guys on board. That's less than 20%. So less than 10 breweries. So all you need is 10 breweries to come together. You've reached this point, and you've got to get over this point Let's get on to here. Once you're over here, this is just naturally going to happen because your visionaries are already there selling your community. So once you can get across to once you get your visionaries in, your pragmatists will follow, your conservatives will follow, and then your skeptics will be dragged in. And there's always a brewery that doesn't want to join the party. They want to live off everybody else. But eventually they'll realize it's a good idea to do it. Okay, so I guess here you have 60 breweries in Bangalore. You say, okay, let's put together an association. You only need 12 breweries. That's all you need. And then the rest of the breweries will go, hang on a second, why wasn't I invited to that party? There's a promotion going all around town. Why aren't I invited? Oh, it's the association that's doing it. Well, I want to join that association. I want to get on board. Okay? So what we're going to quickly look at now, because I don't want to go on for too much longer, it's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. All right? And you guys are in here and you know it's not easy. Yeah, you're working hard. You're working in hot breweries. Getting your products out there is tough. So what I've done is I've put together a cheat sheet for everybody to show you how easy it is to build a community. Okay? So I'm going to run through this very quickly, and if anybody wants to have a word later or a copy of this, just let me know and I can email it to you. Okay? So who are we building this community for? And I've actually put one together. So here we go. Let's run through it quickly. Here we go. The Breweries of Singapore. Okay, so this is an external community. Okay, and they want closer cooperation between breweries would help maximize the potential of the domestic market. Okay, so what's our vision? What's our collective vision? To put in place a mechanism to help us better work together as an industry to increase the volume of Singapore-produced craft beer being produced by the local market with a long-term view to also develop export. So you've got a plan there. You've got a vision which you're bringing together. Okay, so that's your first step. That's your first pillar for building your community. Second pillar, responsibilities. Well, who's going to be responsible? Okay, so we're going to have a chairperson. Okay, he's going to be elected by the members. Then we're going to have office holders. And then everybody's got to do something. Nobody should be sitting behind doing nothing and just riding the back of this. Everybody's got to do something. Okay? For that, we're going to need infrastructure. So that's our third pillar of community, infrastructure. So, creation of an association by founding members. That's going to start building the infrastructure of our community. Then we want a mechanism for role association and reporting. So who's going to do what? How are they going to report this? How are they going to be held accountable? Because they need to be held responsible for reporting how things are progressing. Okay, so we're going to have an establishment of an idea-generating forum. That's where everybody comes in. Everybody generates ideas. They all work together. Financial guidelines. Okay, nobody wants to give away money and not know where it's gone. So it's financial guidelines. And then a pathway for new members. As we said earlier, we are only going, the original setup is your early influencers and your innovators. So we want to let other people join once we get going. Next up, progress. We want to see progress. And what I've done here is I set up short-term and long-term. So how do we measure that progress? Short-term, increase in number of craft serving outlets. Let's get out around the city, get those number of outlets up, persuade people to pick up our products, sell more beers. All right? And that's going to lead to an increase in sales. And we've put here, 1 year to get more outlets, 18 months to see an increase in sales. Because that way you've already got 1 year, and then you've got another 6 months of comparing sales from the previous year. Okay? 2 to 3 industry-wide events. Education programs in the next 12 months. Are you educating your staff in your breweries? Are you educating your consumers? How are you building this community? Who are you educating? Major consumer engagement events. Everybody likes a festival. a beer week. So here a festival would be difficult because regulations. Why not have a beer week? And this is what we're planning down in Ho Chi Minh around Brew Asia. We're talking to the brewers. We say, set up a beer week. Use Brew Asia coming to town as a reason to come together, have a beer week. Have events in all the outlets. And what you're doing is you're supporting outlets. If you're a distribution brewery, you're supporting outlets to sell your product. As your own brewery, you're doing something special. You have your own outlet, you'll do a special brew, or you'll have a special event, meet the brewer. All valuable parts of building the community. And then engage with a relevant government department. If you don't start engaging today, you're never going to change regulations tomorrow. Okay, so engage. It's going to take time. America, it took years and years for them to change their regulations. And the way they said they did it in the end is they didn't talk to the senators. They didn't talk to the lawmakers. They talked to their assistants. They talked to their secretaries. They talked to the junior members of the different departments, the Department of Excise. They talked to the junior members. And they gave them beer. And they tried that beer. I thought, oh, this is nice. And they took the message up to the lawmakers and said, this is nice beer. Look, and because the association had come together, or because the brewers had come together, they said, you're going to make more tax out of this, because the tax on craft beer is higher than the tax on mass-produced lagers. We employ more people in the industry, and they could prove this. They could prove that more people were going to be employed in the industry. And they gave this information to the juniors, and they took that up to the lawmakers, and the laws changed. But it took time. It takes a long time, but you've got to start somewhere. Long term, what's our long-term vision for this? So we're going growth in volumes and the value of the domestic market. So in 2 years, we plan to see a growth in the market because we're working together as a community. And the establishment of an export development program. Okay, well, this ties in partly with your education, because you're going to need to learn how to package. You're going to need to learn how to brew specific styles of beer that different markets might like. You're going to need to learn how to get the beers overseas without compromising quality. So, establishment of an export development program. Recognition or a recognized definition of craft beer. You know, then you can all work to the same definition of craft beer. You can work together. And also that helps to protect your market as a craft beer market. Recently in the Philippines, a mass brewery brought out a new beer called craft beer style. And the brewers are up in arms. What is craft beer style? No such thing. No, we have IPAs, we have pale ales, we have lagers. We don't have craft beer style. But because they haven't defined it in the market doesn't know what craft beer is. So this big brewery is getting away with it. They can get away with making up these names. And this is what will happen more and more as the big breweries premiumize. This is what you're going to see. They're going to encroach into the territory of where you guys are operating. So you need to work together as a community to then develop that definition of your industry. And then rewards. What are the rewards? Okay, you've got the collective sense of belonging. You have ownership. So whether it's ownership in the brew house, whether it's ownership of the business, whether it's ownership of the industry, you have ownership. That's a reward. You've worked for that and you deserve that. You've got an increase in sales. Thank you very much. We also have our financial rewards. Okay, individual skills development. Our brewers are brewing better beer. Government engagement can lead to lowering of barriers. Here we go. You can do more with your product. And greater knowledge sharing will lead to more product innovation. Breweries talking to each other, talking about how they made a beer, how they did beer, how they did a special brew. That's gonna lead to greater product innovation. Yeah. Okay, and finally, what learning can we introduce? So, consumer education is important. Technical skills is important. So we're looking after our consumers. They're part of our community. So we're going to help them. We're going to help them learn more about our community. Technical skills. Our community is going to become more proficient. They're going to be able to brew better. They're going to be able to package better. Program to help upskill brewery sales team. Now, don't be scared of upskilling staff and teams. because they're going to sell better product. And if you're worried that they are going to leave your company because you're teaching them better skills, then you're not paying them well in the first place, and you haven't built a good enough community for them to stay in your business. So you need to turn around, have a look at yourself, and go, why are these people leaving? You want to be confident that you can upskill and your staff will stay. And that's why you build a community. And finally, program to engage outlet staff. Your biggest sales force are your staff in your outlets that sell your beer. Teach them how to sell your beer. Teach them what your beer is. Okay, I did have another sheet that we were going to do together, but sorry, I've waffled on for too long and I've spoken too much, so we'll skip this for today. That's what it was going to be. It was going to be the Dank Tank Brewery, which was going to be a very hoppy brewery and experiencing a high staff turnover. So this is what we were hoping to do, but sorry, we got a little bit delayed. So I can send this to people if they want it again. So just email me. I think and this is what happens. This is what happens when you build a community. Back to the beginning. This is where we started, and we haven't finished, but this is where we are now, and we're going to be bigger next year. So that's how communities can build. And that's how supporting shows like this is going to help build your community. If these guys have a bigger show every year, it shows that your community is growing. Right? So that's what you've got to do. You've got to support. You guys that are converted, I'm talking here to the converted, but go out and talk to other people. Say, you've got to go to the show. You've got to go to the conference, because that's how you're going to build your community. And just quickly, what we've done as well, we just brought in all these other things. So extra products. You know, this is our example of a new product range. So this is our core product. Then we have technical sessions, which are one-day technical sessions around the region. We have the Asia Beer Championship. We have the Brewers Network, which we set up over COVID to bring everything together under one umbrella. And then we have our freestyle beer competition. So that's an example of how you can add on products to an existing community. So the community is much more than belonging to something. It's about doing something together that makes belonging matter. And that's what you've got to do. You've got to make it worthwhile for yourselves to build that community. So thank you very much. All done.
Thank you so much for that presentation. Really insightful, really great. I wish we had more time to conduct the last worksheet together.
Other side. Thank you.